Welcome viewers to the Thought Leader Show. Today joining us on the show is Captain Amaya Kochrekar, who is a thought leader in the K-12 segment of sports education. He has an overall experience of 22 years in corporate and armed forces jointly. He is the co-founder and CEO of Proforce. Welcome to the show, Captain.
Thanks a lot, Aishwarya. Thanks a lot.
So, Captain, tell us something about Proforce and what was the idea behind setting it up?
Okay. Proforce, as we know it as carries a lot of pride in its tagline as professionalism of forces into sports, right? Okay. It is into holistic sports education with the K-12 segment of schools in India. Majority of the types are B2B, which is with the schools. Proforce actually works into a sphere of enhancing the school sports performance into different sports. Till 2020, we've been handling 16 sports at different partner schools. At school level, typically, which are open to the kids, and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all kind of terms that we're talking about. Why it started also is a kind of story. Is if my generation, or rather a generation just above you or something like, probably looks forward or looks back to the school days that we spent in our school, we typically used to have 1 or 2 or 3 PD periods in a week maximum, right? And in those PT periods, what used to happen is our PT teachers used to be on the ground, giving us equipment to play something, right? And what kind of coaching did we actually get in there? Many of the schools did not even have. Many of the schools did not even have the sports infrastructure the way it should have been, rather, right? Now, there was some gap existing in this sphere when we started researching on this subject as early as 2009-10 was the year, if I remember, when we started researching on this subject. We came across 3 major gaps that we had in the sports education ecosystem at K-12 segment, at the ages where the actual sports talent should get nurtured. The first thing itself is the P teachers who are joining our schools typically, and in a school you will have 1 or 2 or 3 P teachers maximum depending on the spread. Their qualifications are BPED and MPED, Bachelor of Physical Education or Master of Physical Education. Having said so, BPED and MPED are the good courses. I'm not denying the credibility of that. But what does it get covered as far as the sports education is covered concerning BPED and MPED course curriculum per se? Is the sports dimensions or the court dimensions, ground dimension, the referee rules and conduct, various matches, various age groups, what kind of matches to be played and all. Very generic knowledge per se, right? Now, when these teachers get qualified as Bachelor of Physical Education, BPED or MPED, they go on joining the schools. When we did a dipstick analysis with the colleges who are giving this degree and the people who have joined the schools with this kind of qualification, little bitter truth that came to forefront is less than 3% of these people who are BPED and MPED and doing a job as a PE teachers in school. I say again, less than 3% of them have played a game or two at national level, right? So there was a huge gap. 97% of them had not played a game or two at national level. And if a person has not played a game at national level, how do we expect our child to be trained? Because he himself does not know how does it. What kind of effort does it take to reach out to that particular person? Now, was it their fault? No, it wasn't their fault. Was it something like the people who have played at national level are not available? No, they are available. No, what came as the next is, why are school not hiring these people? The people who have played at national level, why are they not being hired to teach particular sports in this? The second truth that came in is none of our boards, whether it's CBSE one, whether it's ICSE or whether it's any kind of state boards, they have a compliance only to the fact that there should be a BPED and MPED qualified teacher for a sports and a PE period. They do not say from the compliance part that there should be a national qualified sports teacher to teach a particular sport. And yes, at the end of it, we all understand it's a business. So no school would unnecessarily, unless the school is really sports focused, no school would unnecessarily invest in the higher salaries that they will have to pay to the national coaches. So that business point was pretty clear. Third thing that was happening is the student to teacher ratio per se categorically, which is advertised in a very proud way by many of the international schools as well. The student to teacher ratio gets typically well maintained inside a classroom. If it is 1:20 or 1:30 or 1:40, it's very well maintained inside a classroom. But what happens in the PE period? In the PE period, typically all fifth standard or all sixth standard, all divisions will come together. And this ratio, because there will be one PE teacher, it will be 1:100. It is beyond his human capacities to teach that. Now, giving a benefit of doubt to those 3% who have joined sports or a school as a sports teacher, he would have probably played a game, say for example, basketball at national level, right? But when he joins as a PE teacher to a school, what is rather told to him is to select a cricket team, is to also look for badminton champions, is to take out skating experts. These are beyond his expertise completely. He does not know, neither he has played that game, but just for the sake of the job duties of that particular role, he has to do it. So this is where, in spite of we having a good school sports infrastructure, and I'll justify when I'm saying this, we having a good school sports infrastructure is why? Because now the CBSE and ICSE and all boards compliances say to get a school or a board affiliation, the school should have minimum sports infrastructure. Either they should have built it on their own inside the campus, or they should hire it. Then only they get an affiliation. So at least by that virtue, many of the schools have some tie-ups or have their own sports grounds, right? So we have the infrastructures, we have the student strength available, but the expertise to bridge these two and the teach these two is not available from a business side and from the qualification side. So what we did rather is we started collating these people who are from the federations, who are from the services. Typically in armed forces, typically in services, we see players who have played for 20-25 years of their life. They would have played at the international levels, at World Military Games and all. They retire early from their uniform service and go on join some company as security manager or admin manager or something like that. We thought of collating all these people and putting them under one umbrella and give them a job of their passion. So in that stream, a lot of people from a lot of national coaches from the federation also tagged along in this. Now what we do is their salary expectations are high. Schools were never going to pay because the school's end customer is a parent. Schools cannot go ahead raising the fees for a sports education per se, because then parent would object that is a part of curriculum, why we need to pay extra about it. So we then started utilizing expertise of one coach to 2 or 3 or 4 schools, because you do not need a sports coach throughout the day. You need it for a specific age group for a specific period. So that sports coach started getting utilized at a couple of more places, started getting a kind of salary expectation that he had. Schools started getting the expertise of this particular coach. In spite of all this, there was a major gap again lying in, is many of the schools would procure the sports equipment at the beginning of the academic year with the budget sanction to them, by the managements or whichever. Unfortunately, sports is one such thing that you cannot procure a year-long kind of a book and go through the syllabus on way. You need to have a lot of replenishment of a lot of equipment consistently. So if we go by developing the kind of football standards Europe, or for that matter any FIFA country has developed, typically the FIFA rule says that at any point of time on the ground, if there are 100 children wanting to play football, there should be 100 footballs as per their sizes. We cannot afford to have that kind of generosity in India. But what we thought is schools are never going to spend in that kind of, and this kind of 100 footballs, you need to probably replenish every 3 months or every 4 months, depending upon how much is the damage that way. Then we started incorporating our entire proposal in such a way that we do take care of the equipment as well. The equipment will be with the school, but Pro4 should procure it and keep it, and we'll go ahead replenishing this also. In the very first year, Aishwarya, we piloted with just 2 schools with this concept of keeping a national coach, keeping a ratio 1:30 at any point of time, and assisted by the junior coaches in case there is more strength, giving all the equipment, all the support that we could. And the results were astonishing. In the first years, only with the 2 schools, Pro4 could get about 16 trophies at state and district level. in this case. So this is how the proposed story started.
That's great. Very inspiring. So you were talking about our school days, and I just remembered, like during my school time also, I've seen many children, maybe including me as well, where we used to miss the sports period to complete our pending homework. So why do yeah, so why do you think parents and teachers do not make, us treat sports with the same amount of seriousness as other subjects?
Okay, why do I think so? A clear-cut way or a single line answer to it is nobody has shown teachers or parents or your parents for that matter or the parents of current age also who those kids who are in secondary school and all, nobody has shown them a ladder up. What do I mean by ladder up is a simple thing that we know after having scored in 10 this much, you're going to secure an admission to a good college. If you secure an admission to a good college, you are going to go to a different league altogether in the stream of your choice, IIT, IIMs or medicals or engineerings or whichever way that way. But nobody had given them a thought or nobody has told कि sports में career क्या कर सकते हैं. Sports has always been thought about to secure a government quota job. That's it. Nobody had thought of what could be the Olympics play, what could be the sponsorship. All this has come into a system after 1992, after the economy opened up. And today people have started realizing that even somebody plays at ISL level, his yearly fees and his sponsorships are going to be as good as any senior level employee of any corporate that way. So
Adding to what you were saying, after this big victory by Neeraj Chopra, do you think that more Indian parents will now push their children to take sports as a career?
after what?
After Neeraj Chopra's victory in javelin, yeah, now do you think, parents will be like, yeah, there is a career in sports as well?
Well, if you ask me frankly, Aishwarya, Profos was founded in 2015-16 and our research goes to 4 or 5 years before that from the Commonwealth Games in 2010 onwards. Unfortunate part is this Olympic fever in India comes in every 4 years and people tend to forget that within next 2-3 months because there is some other issue coming up that way. Having said so, yes, there is a certain kind of awareness that has gone down to general parents. I would say, I'm not saying general public, the parents who have got their kids going to school now or in the younger age. However, there is still a lot of scope. Now you have probably cleared out your college, your university in whichever way. Tell me when you are opting for universities, probably domestic or outside as well. Did you know that more than 100 universities, the top 100 universities of the world have got a lot of quota for the sports players? If you play a sport at national level, even in India, there's a lot of quota for the sports. So this kind of thought process has never gone in. The thought process has always gone into secure marks and get a scholarship. A thought process has to be changed to probably go play a sport, play well, play at national level and get more scholarship rather out there.
True.
Nobody's telling not to study, but at the same time, there are huge career opportunities.
Okay, like IITs and IIMs, do you think we should have dedicated professional institutes which will focus on the science of sports and not just the skill and like sports as a hobby?
Sports needs to be focused in a complete scientific way, Ashwara. What you're saying is right. A management institute like IIM Rohtak is running a sports management courses. So institutes like Boys School of Sports Sciences has come up only for supporting. There are many such sports institutes. The only factor is that it needs to come up with enough number of job opportunities as well. What happened in typically, if you have been following a viewership of ISL, which was there the time it was launched, and right now the viewership of ISL, there's been a huge difference. It cannot afford to have that because the entire thing, the entire economics around it, the entire business around it has to be driven on the viewership. Whether there are enough sponsors to it, there are enough channels wanting to telecast it, everything would run around that. So the way Sachin Tendulkar probably says, and he says this pretty clearly, that from a sports loving nation, we would probably have to convert into a sports playing nation. More importantly from that. The other aspects of that sports is not only to be played from a career perspective, and I do not say the same thing to the parents as well. I say it out pretty clearly. Do not think of turning your chap into a Sachin Tendulkar, or do not think that your guy would become a next Sunil Shetty or something like that. No, it's nothing like that. The way sports impacts your personality, the way it teaches you the life skills, and unfortunately, Aishwarya, today, no book or no syllabus from our kindergarten to post graduation, rather from KG to PG, as we say, none of the books ever cover the life skills subjects that way. Tell me which chapter taught you how to accept failures and again stand up for our next one, right? So I mean, there are 25 high or 25 important life skills that we talk about, whether it's determination, team play, accepting of failure, coming up with the same spirit next day. Everything is, I would say, fortunately taught on the ground. And this is what is more important in life than probably securing more grades and probably seeking an admission to a college, because the moment a high scoring person consistently faces a forced failure, he gets broken down, right? That's why we see a bad suicide rate in India. This also has been one such research done by Profos, and this is we proudly present to parents, is in the suicide rate that we typically see in India amongst youth, less than 1% have been sports persons sometime or sports players sometime in their life. So anybody who has played sports for more than about a year would probably not think in that negative direction, because then he or she knows that okay, एक बार हार गए तो दूसरी बार शायद जीत हो जाएगी, दूसरी बार नहीं हुई तो तीसरी बार हो जाएगी.
Okay, so you were talking about personality development, and for a non-sports person like me, how do you think, like you were saying, acceptance of failure and all those things, how do you think that sports will help in the personality development of a person?
You know what, Aishwarya, when you say a non-sports person like you, you did not play a sport because nobody forced you to, right? It was always given a choice to you. Same thing was there for me. Sports in school was always a choice. And I feel pretty proud to say that I did not play a single sport throughout my schooling days. So from first standard to 10th standard, my house was 25 kilometers away from my school in Mumbai. And that time it used to take 1.5 hours one way to travel by public transport. And I did not play a single sport. And school was only interested a lot in cricket, being pretty close to the mecca of cricket, what is called in India or in Mumbai as Shivaji Park. And this is where Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli and all these cricketers got trained. And we were just bang next to Shivaji Park. School was always interested in cricket. Again, unfortunately, till today, I cannot play that game that professionally well in this case. But then what happened is, after 10, when I joined a military school called Services Preparatory Institute in Maharashtra to get trained for NDA, I was forced to play all the sports. This is where I realized that, okay, there is something called as basketball and it is to be played with this technique. This is something called as volleyball and it is to be played with this technique. And when you are forced to play, that is the time you realize how does it impact your personality. It changed a complete middle class boy from there to be mixing up with others and to understand what failure in life is actually many times. And that is what we say, that people or generation who says that sports impacts or does not impact are the people, those who have never been forced to play. The moment you force someone to play for 6 months, you will see a different person altogether.
Okay, so finally, one more thing that I really want to know is, how was your journey or transition from an armed forces officer to an entrepreneur?
From armed forces officer to an entrepreneur was a never thought about and never a very well planned journey per se, categorically. I after having completing my short service bond out there, I did my management from IIM Lucknow and then joined in the sales and business development stream for various companies, including media, risk consulting, and all. But one thing that was there is all this thing of thinking about what are the gaps in sports education started from my own experience. So what I knew pretty clearly what I missed in my school days. I did not want my child to lose it. So when he started attending school, and in spite of having infrastructure and everything, the school teams were not performing. That is the time we started researching more. What helped me a little more in the thinking about forming Profos was in 2010 in India, we conducted Commonwealth Games. We were the host of it. And in spite of we being host of it in 2010 in Delhi, our performance was not up to a mark, right? The athletes' performance was not up to mark. That is the time a lot of nation or a majority of the nation was disappointed, and the apex body named National Skill Development Center gave a kind of mandate to a company named Ernst & Young, if you know, EY, right? One of the big fours, to find out what went wrong where. This was the time when I was researching on what are the gaps lying out there in the school education system, why is sports not coming up. And by 2012, Ernst & Young came up with a very detailed report of 450 odd pages, which had projected which all sports Profors, not Profors per se, but which all sports nation should rather focus on, which all sports we would need the expertise of, what are the current level of the coaches, what are the current availability of the coaches at district and tehsil level as well, and what are the other support systems building up an athlete would have, which probably had nutrition in its way, which probably had the psychological support in its way. This actually gave a backbone to form what we were thinking. So we didn't have to validate what we were thinking. The validation itself was done by that report, and we formed a professor around that in the next 2 years, bringing up all these gaps. So today, what happens with Profos is any child who starts getting a proper sports education through Profos ecosystem with a partner school, the child is also monitored for its nutrition intake, for its growth opportunity, for its sports nutrition. The child starts performing at district and state level and beyond, and the child gets a good sports psychological counseling as well. So we tried bridging these gaps which were coming. And I'm very proud to say here, Aishwarya, that within 5 years of time, Profos today stands with 3 national medals in fencing for girls, 3 national trophies in hockey for a school at different age groups, 48 state and district trophies for various sports, and more than 580 state and district medals, 598 to be precise rather, for different sports in different games. So this is how the journey has been. When we started Profos categorically, startup was a pretty glamorous word out there. We were pretty naive, so still for funding or what is called as VC funding and all, but we were fortunate to get the angel support that time. And the funding part also continued for long. Today, we've been bootstrapping completely on this part.
That's great. So finally, My Startup TV is an exclusive TV channel for startups and MSMEs and entrepreneurs like you. What are your views on our channel?
Guys have been doing a fantastic job. There are a number of aspects that a person like me would probably miss out in a daily rush of attending meetings and striking out deals. I get a lot of knowledge by that quick interview that you conduct with various entrepreneurs. Many a times going through content like yours also opens up a lot many opportunities for synergies, for joint ventures, for a possibility of coming up with a new geography or developing a business in a new geography in a good way. So that's why this kind of content and the way My Startup TV has been doing. I happen to know the founder that well. His vision has been pretty clear and pretty great. He himself is a great mentor, and I feel proud to have him on the mentorship board and an investor board of Profos today. I think that's a superb thing that we can conduct.
Okay. So thank you, Captain, for joining. It was a pleasure to have you, and we would love to host you for our future shows.
Thanks a lot, Aishwarya, and I do look forward for hearing from you many more occasions. Thank you. Thanks a lot.